Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli. You know, one of the things that really changed the day for us on the Delaware River episode of Going Ike was making an area change and making a bait change. You know, for sure, a jig in late fall on a tidal river can be phenomenal, and it usually is. But that day it wasn't. They weren't relating to rocks, they weren't relating to the traditional hard bottom winter areas, and we had to make a move. We ended up moving to a backwater area that had large, expansive flats with vegetation. And the interesting thing about this trip is we've had a very mild fall, and the vegetation was still alive. There was still grass on the bottom. It's basically hydrilla, a little bit of coontail. And as soon as we got there, we started seeing the presence of bait. And bait in the fall, man, it's so critical, you know. And it was shad, young of the year herring. And as soon as we got in there, we started to see them flip and flick, and you started to see that silver and gold shine of the bait. And immediately I started thinking about not necessarily the jig and being a crawfish imitation, but imitating a bait fish over top of that grass. And we made a change to probably my second most important tidal river bait, which is a spinnerbait. You know, it's tried and true, and a spinnerbait to me is a better imitation of forage, of bait, than any other lure out there. And you know, you can see it by default. Just by me showing this to you in the sun, you can see that shine and that flash. And bass really feed in on that natural flash, that bait fish flash. You know, if you're looking at this one, this is a mullix. This is a 1/2 ounce mullix bait called a water slash. It's one of my favorite in tidal water conditions in fall fishing. If you look at it, it's more compact, it's smaller. It's got a little lighter wire, which is going to provide more vibration. And it's got this flat spot on the head. It's very flat. And that actually gives this bait a little side-to-side shimmy as you reel it. But that flash, those blades put off, it's one of the key elements to imitating bait fish. The other one's the vibration. And if you look at this bait, it's got a blade style on there that I call them Indiana blades. And the beauty of an Indiana blade is it fits somewhere in the middle of blade styles. You normally have a blade style called a willow blade that's real long, tremendous amount of flash, not a lot of vibration. The other one you have is a round blade called a Colorado, tremendous amount of vibration but very little flash. But the Indiana has both. So it's got that element of flash to it, but it also has a tremendous amount of vibration as that blade spins. And that's why those bass feed on it. So, you know, what we did is we got on that flat and we basically slow rolled that grass. And when I say slow roll, it's reeling it slow to just let that bait tick the top of that grass. And that was really the key in a tough day to trigger some bites. When those fish saw that spinnerbait coming through, they picked up on it by the flash of that blade. They picked up on it on the vibration through their lateral line. And then the last element was that head and that little shimmy side to side, the chartreuse and white. It's a great all-around color to imitate forage, and they ate it. And this really is the kind of bait that saved the day. I can tell you something, in a tidal river, don't go out with one presentation. Have some backups, keep an open mind. And when that crawfish bait, that jig isn't working, the hard bottom rock areas aren't working, look around, try some softer cover, some wood or some grass, and throw a bait fish imitator, and that can really turn your day around. It did for us on the Delaware River. Mike Iaconelli, try the spinnerbait when the jig's not working. It's a good second alternative on tidal rivers. Perfect.
Yeah.